So welcome everyone. We're delighted to have you. This is our second webinar in a series, Preparing to Open Hotels for the New Normal. And we're very excited to have a great conversation with our wonderful boutique hoteliers this morning. We appreciate that. And we are, this series is in partnership with the Greater Miami Convention and Visitors Bureau and FIU Chaplin School of Hospitality Management. And we would like to thank our partners. We are also grateful to have such a great number of attendees today watching the webinar, and we appreciate you taking the time. I know every minute is very valuable, and I know that you will get a lot of great information today. So I wanted to go ahead and I just wanted to share with you. I know this is not sexy, but very relevant right now. Is one of our Allied Upgrade members has a mask, which we're actually referring to as face covers now, which I think sounds better. It's this is what it looks like. And the company is Boutique Hoteliers. They're an Allied Upgrade member, and they are 70 cents each or $35 for a package of 50. So we'll share that information with you, and thank you, Jill at Boutique Hoteliers, for mailing me this sample. So why don't we go ahead now and introduce ourselves, and let's start with Yasser.
Absolutely. Good morning, everybody. My name is Yasser Mohammed. I'm the general manager of the National Hotel, and I've been on the property since 2006.
Someone's phone is ringing.
Sorry.
Okay, Peggy. Thank you, Yasser. Welcome.
Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Peggy Benoit. I'm the general manager at Dream South Beach Hotel. And I was just telling the group I am the opening GM, and I've been in the market in South Beach for, well, actually I was in Mid Beach for 6 years, and then South Beach since 2000. So nice to see everybody.
Peggy. Adnan? Oh, sorry. Hi,
Hello,
Adnan.
everybody. My name is Adnan, and I am the general manager of Roommate Waldorf Towers Hotel, and I've been with the property for about 5 years.
Welcome again. May?
Yes, hi. Thank you, everybody, for joining. I'm the Chief Operating Officer of the Vagabond Group, and one of our investments is the Vagabond Hotel, and and I've been also managing that from day -1, so 6 years. And delighted
Wonderful.
to.
Thank you. Nancy?
I'm Nancy Scanlon. I'm with the Chaplin School of Hospitality and Tourism Management at the FIU, and I'm the chair of the Sustainability Council for the Greater Miami and the Beaches Hotel Association. Good morning.
Good morning. Chris?
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Wendy, thank you for having me. Everyone, thank you for joining us. My name is Chris Rollins, and I'm the Chief Operating Officer of South Beach Group Hotels. We have a collection of 17 boutique hotels from South Beach all the way up to North Beach. And I've been with the company now 21 years. So thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Chris. And I think our newest addition, right, to Miami Beach, to South Beach, Pietro.
Definitely. Good morning, everybody. I'm Pietro Addis. I'm the general manager at Como Metropolitan Miami Beach, and I've just completed 1 year here. Very happy.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Great. That's great.
So very happy to be here and join everyone this morning.
Thank you so much. So let's start with the questions for our boutique hoteliers. By design, our boutique
Wi-Fi is delicate.
Why don't I start off that first question and open it up by saying that boutique hotels are by design smaller in scale and scope than standard hotels. To better understand the challenges and perhaps the benefits that boutique hotels have when faced with reopening and complying to CDC regulations and the city of Miami and Miami Beach. Can you give us an overview of the facilities and amenities of your hotels? And Peggy, would you like to start that off?
Sure. I mean, we have many of the amenities and facilities of the full service hotels, just on a smaller scale. And so again, in one respect, it's a little bit easier to modify those services in order to comply with the new regulations. But in the other hand, it's still a challenge because we have smaller spaces, and I can only have 6 feet in front of guests at the front desk. So that is a challenge because my desk is only probably, I'm looking at it right now, it's probably about 20 feet across. So it's going to be just really keep maintaining the social distancing is going to be the challenge because the spaces are just smaller. But we definitely have more room to pivot because we have a smaller team. Everybody's cross-trained. People do all different jobs. We have no specialists. Everybody can do, we have engineers that can work in housekeeping and front desk and be bellmen. So we can all chip in and do anything that needs to be done.
Wendy, are you with us?
I think Wendy's Wi-Fi is dropping.
No, not quite sure. Who would like to pick up on that? Chris, you have a variety of hotels.
I do. I think if you look at our portfolio, we have, I'll piggyback some of Peggy's comments. There is a challenge, and it is possible because we have smaller spaces. I think the key to complying with the guidelines is training and cross-training all of our team members, because we are intimate. And I call it intimate meaning our staff is smaller and they are trained in all departments. And I consider everyone an ambassador, and we have been already training our management team as to what to look for. And if you see someone, you politely approach them in hope and guide them through what the new guidelines are with the distancing. And a lot of it is exterior spaces, so you just have to adapt to it. Our lobbies are smaller, our front desks are smaller, but it is possible. And we foresee, putting the markings on the ground, on the floors, so people know where to stand as they approach the front desk. The same with our lobby areas, rearrange the furniture so it can, because there's not, it's not a huge space, and you're looking at 40 to 50 rooms, and who your check-ins, unless you're checking in a group, it comes throughout the day, how your arrivals and departures are, and you hope that you can space everyone and get everyone on board. And I think the general public will be on board as they come back into the hotels.
Yeah, so would you like to, you have the national, what would you add to this?
We're kind of fortunate that we have bigger grounds and bigger spaces, but definitely we have rearranged all the layout of the furniture, respecting the 6 feet away. We're putting away couches that can hold maybe more than 2, 3, 4 people in a couch. So we're removing those off the floor. Definitely the marks on the floors are super important. And I see any of the hotels that had a bellman or a valet or somebody at the front should be the first ambassador of each hotel and ask our guests to follow the protocol. When you go to any retails right now, or a supermarket or a pharmacy, unfortunately, people are not looking down to the floor. They're not looking at the marks. You have to constantly show them the marks and address the marks. So I think that those frontline employees should be the ones educating the guests as soon as they walk through the doors and start explaining the minimum rules. Pay attention to the floor marks, pay attention to the distancing. And unfortunately, we're gonna have to become all security and follow the protocols and very politely enforce the rule of this distancing, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think the way we're looking at it is that it's almost, we have to train our staff to follow the safety procedures, but we also have to train them how to communicate with guests so that they follow safety procedures. So what we did, because as most of you have indicated, our spaces are smaller. So we're moving furniture out whereby you're not going to have people congregating around the lobby. So basically one check-in at a time effectively. And if you don't have enough seating, people are not going to be lounging, waiting to check in, assuming we're that busy. So we're putting the markings, we're putting the plexi. I'm actually having that manufactured as we speak, the plexiglass, separating, obviously the front desk from the guests. But the markers are important, but it's really the training of the staff in terms of how do you communicate this to the guests so that they don't feel put off and they understand why we're doing it. So it's a challenge on both sides, train the staff and train the guests.
Pietro, can you join in on this?
I think to really, add to what people are saying, we're planning to put plexiglass in our front desk because we're probably not in a position to offer the mobile check-in that some of the bigger groups are doing. But we'll have the credit card machine. It'll be a bit like when you go to the petrol station now. You have plexiglass and your card machine is outside of the plexiglass. Then we will basically remove all furniture from the restaurant and the lobby that is soft and or cannot be wiped down and sanitized regularly. And then I think basically what we're imagining is we're reducing touch points and contact points and things that we have to clean as much as possible. And then I think another key there's various discussions in the industry, but it seems like we're going to need to leave rooms vacant for a certain amount of time in between check-ins. So I think obviously what we'll start doing is guests will be able to check into their room whatever time they arrive and stay in their room to whatever time they leave, because the room's not going to be occupied the night before or the night after. And we don't want people hanging around pools and restaurants and lobbies waiting for their room, or after they've checked in waiting to leave. And we don't want them leaving bags with the front desk.
And speaking of pools, okay, this is an amenity that I believe everyone has. How do you intend doing this around the poolside areas?
So we're going to, obviously that's probably going to be our biggest pressure point in terms of social distancing. We're quite lucky that we have a big F&B and a lot of outside areas. So we can probably, if the weather's good, seat the whole hotel for breakfast. If it's not raining, but as I said, the swimming pool is going to be our big pressure point. We have a rooftop pool as well, which has previously been part of the spa and was a hydrotherapy pool. So we've just renovated that to be a second pool. And then we had a spa relaxation rooftop terrace. That's being converted into an area for sunbeds. So we're basically reimagining and changing spaces to uses that we think are more going to be more needed, such as sunbathing, so that we can spread people out.
Adnan, how about Como?
Waldorf Towers.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's fine. That is fine.
You just had Como.
Yes, Pietro just spoke about Como, and I agree with everything that's been said. And just to add a little bit of things to it, it will be crucial in our sense, being a hotel on Ocean Drive, to work closely with our vendors. In this case, we talk partners. In this case, we talk about the valet parking, which is outsourced, the restaurant operator that is subleased, as well as the convenience store that we have. It will be crucial that everybody is on the same page. And like many of my colleagues mentioned, the training would be pivotal. We must find the balance between enforcing the new guidelines for safety and health of our guests and employees and maintaining the hospitality. And it will go back to providing the tools for our line staff, the people that are communicating with our guests, everything from the wording, from the gestures and information they need. We're a small property. We don't have a pool. We don't have a gym. I guess that can be called an advantage in this case. So it will help us laser focus on the new guidelines and implementing them. Rearranging furniture, as was mentioned, would be done. The installation of protective shields at the front desk. It will not be easy. The spaces are small, but I'm pretty sure we will get creative and find ways.
Okay, thank you. We've talked about the challenges that you're facing. What about engineering practices and how will that impact your properties? For example, updating HVAC equipment or installing air purification technologies, are these appropriate for you all?
I mean, for us, all of our AC units are individual units. So what we are trying to do is we're going to basically disinfect the filters of these AC units after every guest leaves. And as Pietro said, because it's easy. You take them out, you clean them, you put them back in. And as Pietro said, we're going to try to basically not rent that room for 24 hours, even though they say that 4 to 5 hours is how long the droplets basically are contagious. I think guests will feel much more comfortable. It's at the end of the day, it's all about making the guests feeling safe. It's for their safety. Obviously, it's for the safety of the employees, but it's at the end of the day, you want to make sure that guest feels comfortable, that they are going to be safe at your property. So that's the approach we're going to take, but it's easier for us because we don't have a central AC unit. But we are going to take that extra step of cleaning the filter every time a guest checks out.
Anyone else in here?
Yeah, so sort of just backing that up, we've been approached by quite a few companies with different products for sanitizing the filter system. We also have individual AC units in our rooms. So basically we would implement an ACASS, active continuation air sanitation system, where basically you spray a disinfectant product through a special nozzle into the filter of the AC, and then you leave it to circulate in the room. You obviously have to calculate, you have to calculate or find out how long it takes in your room for air to circulate, and it will basically kill all the virus, any virus in the room in a certain amount of time. And then we have obviously ACs in our public areas. That we have vertical ACs, and we would basically, we would change the cartridge. At the moment, we're using standard cartridges, and we're going to basically upgrade to the same cartridges they use in a hospital, which would filter the AC down to a viral level.
Yeah, by the way, to add one more thing to what Pietro said, at the restaurant, our restaurant, it's leased out, but the operator has indicated that they are probably going to go to strictly outdoor seating because we have a massive outdoor seating area. Because there is a central AC system, and I think that they feel more comfortable by implementing an outdoor seating, potentially strictly outdoor seating, dining.
Chris, you've got how many properties that you have to consider for this issue?
We have already started the preliminary meetings, and I'll tag on to what some of my colleagues here are stating. And it is just using the guidelines, getting your filter system, depending on the system that you have. We have a variety. We have cooling towers, we have wall units, and we have, the standard split systems and the standard. All of them are going through a cleaning process currently. The filters, if they're the wall units, having a spare set So you can change one and then clean that one, and the next time you interchange them as the guests come and go, coming in with a process. Establishing SOPs is key. So there is a routine that's followed today, followed tomorrow, followed the next day. So it's consistent across the board. Getting into your duct systems, if you have it, cleaning all of those out. We use Devon Air. They handle our cooling towers. They're going in and doing all the duct works for the larger systems and sanitizing everything. And but once again, the guests want to feel safe, and they want to know that the accommodations that they booked are following protocols. So signage will be key, informing all of your guests when they arrive what procedures are in place at your location. And we're designing those and having those posted throughout the property and in the rooms as well. And that way they can read it and see what protocols are in place for them while they're in-house.
Yeah, so you have a larger property with the National.
Yes, we do. And actually we have a cooling tower system with chilled water system. And we already are with our vendors, changing the entire water, the cooling tower, putting the new chemicals. We purchased months ago a duct cleaning machine for the air conditioning system. So we're fortunate enough that we had the machine. So we're sanitizing all the AC ducts that goes from the hallways inside the rooms. But like everybody else said, I think it's important to keep your companies and your partners in tune with what you're doing, get them on board, using the right chemicals, getting the right balancing, changing the waters in the cooling towers, and definitely the filtering system. I believe that we're saying 36 hours before a room gets reoccupied. I think that we all need to, again, follow the guide and see exactly how many hours they cannot be occupied. When are we gonna get our staff in to clean it? If it's gonna be right after checkout, or we're gonna leave it for the next day. So we have to be very careful, not only for our guests, but also with our employees, because they're not feeling easy as well.
And Pedro, would anybody else like to jump in on this question?
I mean, just adding to what Yasta was talking about with the how long are we going to leave rooms in between check-in and check-out? Because, you know, I'm sure we've all been reading lots of stuff on this, but I know that some hotels are at the moment leaving 3 days. And obviously if you start doing that, you're going to really affect your ability to fill the hotel. So I think it's also a question of trying to be creative. You know, can we, you know, do it quicker if we don't have any upholstery in the room, for example, and it's all hard surfaces that can be wiped down, et cetera, et cetera.
And I think just to add, I think that a lot of the brands and guidelines are talking about that, whether or not the housekeeper will go do daily service or upon request, you know, if there is service, or when they check out. So there's a lot of different, it's just amazing the details that we're reading and seeing and talking about with the guidelines, you know.
Well, it seems that turn down service, number one, is not going to be allowed, at least in phase 1 and phase 2. And I think the recommendation is not to clean occupied rooms and wait a period of time after checkout. You don't want to wait too long, because then you have trash and things in the rooms that can cause problems. But there has to be a balance. I don't know, I think 72 hours is way too long, but there has to be some kind of balance. So you can, you don't want rotting food, you know, sitting in a room that needs to be, that's a checkout. I think the most important thing is, you know, providing the employees with the training and the PPE to protect them.
I mean,
I know that some hotels are again talking about not cleaning, that you don't do any service at all between check-in and check-out. And if you want clean sheets and towels, You'll put them in a special bag, put the bag over by the door, and the housekeeping will come and take that bag and leave you fresh linen. So they would never properly enter the room during the stay. But I think it's also got to be, I think different guests might want different things. You'll have some guests that would not want anyone in the entire stay because they're more worried about it. Other guests might be more relaxed, and you've got to balance that with protecting your employees.
Yeah, I think that's exactly the approach we're going to take, which is leave it up to the guests. We're going to say,
yeah,
your room will not be serviced unless you ask us to. And then we provide all the PPE to our staff, and what we're doing is we're taking anything that's decorative out of the room. We're not any robes in the room. If anybody wants a robe, we can give them the robe in a plastic bag. We give it to them, and if they want a new one, we give them another one the next day. So we're trying to basically, we're not going to have any magazines laying around in the rooms. Really, anything that can be touched is going to be removed. That cannot be wiped down or obviously sent to the cleaners.
What's a shame is that we were all moving to away from single-use plastics for amenities.
I know.
And our company was doing that too, and I think that initiative has got to take it's got to be put, which is unfortunate from a green standpoint.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely, we had to go in the minimalistic approach. I think in the public areas, all the magazines and all the fun stuff that we have, all the little chassis in the rooms, everything that can be touched and cannot be really clean constantly, we just decided to remove it. All the decorative pillows, the funny blankets on the foot of the bedding, those things need to go away. Anything that you cannot really clean thoroughly constantly, it's better just to take it away. And just to give you a little bit, sorry, Peggy, just to give you a little bit feedback from hotels that are currently open around the airport, and some colleagues and friends of mine, actually the majority of the guests are not requiring service while they're staying. And some of the feedback have been, the housekeeper went to somebody else's room before coming to my room. So I'd rather for the housekeeper not to come to my room. So they're doing what Pietro said, they're doing the exchange bags. You put your dirty linen outside and they put the clean linen back on the door.
Well,
I was going to ask the group, what about mini bars? Is everyone emptying their mini bars?
We're gonna remove mini bars, coffee machines. It's also, I think, from a practical level, and to make the guests feel more comfortable, the less things that there are for us around to have to clean, the better. In the room, we were about to introduce a tablet to put the in-room information in. It's currently on IPTV, but I think we're going to leave it on the IPTV and just put the remote control in a plastic bag. Because again, we don't want a tablet's another touch point. And we'll pretty much remove all collateral in there. We'll leave the phone, the bedside phone, because we have to have that by law for emergencies, but we don't expect guests to feel comfortable using the phone. So we're going to expect to communicate with them through their hand phone, probably on an app. We might start with WhatsApp to begin with, but ultimately we would like to have an app for them to communicate to front office, to engineering, to housekeeping, and even order their in-room dining on, which, as I said, they can access from their own personal hand phone.
I think in the long run, everything that we will learn from this will help us, first of all, be more minimalistic and maybe more efficient and digitalize. And just to add what Pietro was saying, a small example is we actually started it before the pandemic, having a WhatsApp number at the front desk where the guests can text their request. And I know there are plenty of softwares and apps, but things like that, removing what is now will not be considered non-essential from the rooms, minimizing the touch points. And just one example that I'm thinking is access via cell phones to the rooms versus the traditional key cards. So this might
Yeah.
help us to go into that as well, just as maybe as a positive to see from all of this.
So let's talk now about guest confidence. I think that's a really good topic. Will guest confidence, it's one of the key elements of the overall industry recovery and the new normal or new normal reality, as some say. Parameters respond positively to the emphasis on wellness and perhaps give boutique hotels a competitive edge over larger properties. Because I think that some of the things that you've been talking about are really, of course, very detailed, very specific, very thoughtful. Talk about how you feel about, guest confidence and how you can, it looks like you're doing a good job. I think we're all very impressed at how much you have already implemented in your minds, while the hotels are closing. I think it's really incredible. So
well, I think that the boutique hotel, the advantage is that the guest knows that they're not going to encounter huge crowds,
Mm-hmm.
Some of our neighbors up on, 41st Street, it's like, big crowds in the lobby, even when the occupancy is fairly low. And then also, I think, those of us that have brands behind us, the confidence that the brand can give to the guests in a smaller space is going to be key to their comfort level. I do think that the guest that comes to South Beach, it generally is a little bit at a lower risk. They're younger and they have, we saw that in early March and April when things were starting, that the guests were not very concerned with spreading virus, which is a problem, but it's also, it may encourage guests to come in when things calm down and utilize being on market.
I mean, I think it goes back to our original message, which is that we have to make the guests feel safe. Now, the mere fact that the guest is arriving is an indication that they felt safe traveling either by car or by plane. So once they get there, or obviously what we will do is reach out to them before they arrive and make sure they realize all the steps that we are taking to make sure that their room and their environment is safe. And we can obviously emphasize that at check-in as well. So I think reaching out to the guests in advance is going to be even more critical to assure them that we are taking this very seriously and we have all the measures in place to keep everybody safe, guests as well as employees. I think that's going to be very critical.
And from our perspective, we're developing a page for our website that will outline all of the things that we're doing, kind of a PSA to as they're booking, what is this particular hotel group or any of us here, what are we doing? What can we anticipate seeing when we arrive so they feel comfortable booking and seeing those measures implemented when they do arrive?
Yes, you are 100% right. That's exactly what we're doing as well. So they know well in advance.
I'm sure it's something that guests will require and ask for at booking stage as well. And I do think being a smaller, intimately run property where, a lot of the employees and guests know each other is going to be is going to give us an edge. And I think, those of us, which often the boutique hotels are not, we're not considered party hotels and we're more calm and quiet, which hasn't always been a bonus in the past, but I think will be a very good thing in these times.
Well, we are boutique, so our number one feature is the service that we offer.
Yeah, exactly.
We are service driven. All hospitality is, but being a boutique hotelier, that's what we've always capitalized on, is our service level.
So I think it's gonna, that's what's quite interesting, because when I was first reading, what some of the big guys are doing, that they're trying to minimize contact, no check-in, and really minimize contact with the employees. It's sort of not concern me, but I think our challenge is going to be is to, as you say, our point of difference over the big hotels is that we have a personal service. And it is like coming to stay, and more like coming to stay in someone's home. The staff know you, they recognize you, you develop a rapport. So I think that one of the challenges and opportunities here is going to be to, do the social distancing and minimize contact points, but finding ways to still give that personal service, which is our point of difference.
Pietro, I wanted just to ask a question, since you manage a spa hotel within the hotel. How do you see the spa, the massage services being affected by this?
Actually, what's happened here is that Como is very well known for its spa, but our spa here, we have quite a big spa for the size of the hotel. It's 4 treatment rooms, and we had a small gym. And the feedback: a small gym, a steam room, a big rooftop hydrotherapy pool, and an outdoor relaxation area. We actually closed it to renovate it at the end of last year because the spa wasn't getting used very much, and we had feedback that guests wanted a bigger gym. So we closed it to renovate it. And the plan was to basically make the spa smaller and then do a big gym with yoga Pilates, much bigger gym and a yoga Pilates studio, and then do a rooftop bar on that floor where the spa relaxation area was. Again, because of CV-19, we've kind of rethought again. We're repurposing the spa hydrotherapy pool to be a main pool, to be another option for the main pool. And we will go ahead with we've renovated the rooftop pool, but we put the spa renovation on hold at the moment. But it will be repurposed to be, the wellness center will be more active focused rather than massage focused. That was happening anyway, just to respond to the market we were in. And I anticipate that to increase further as, massage is probably not something people are going to want to have for obvious reasons.
I mean, we have a small gym, but we're going to it's going to be on an appointment basis. So one person at a time, and then it has to be totally disinfected before the next guest. That's one way to deal with gym issues.
No, that's what we've got a small gym at the moment. It's definitely going to be by appointment and one at a time. When we get the bigger gym, we'll see how we work it.
Nancy, going back to your question, I think it will be an interesting balance to find. For instance, we were offering yoga classes to our guests in the mornings, and we were providing the yoga mats. But obviously the question now is posed, will the guests trust the cleaning of the yoga mats by us? And they have all the right not to at certain point. So here you are in between a decision of still providing that added value to the guests. It is a part of their well-being. The intention is there, but now you have to think, okay, well, what are we going to do with yoga mats? Even though there will be a process of disinfecting them, how many guests will actually agree to use them? But I believe with everything happening, at least for the near future, the wellness, well-being will be equated to cleanliness, the good air quality, and having peace of mind that the property is really taking care of the guidelines and taking care of the guests and employees, and have a stress-free vacation. I guess that this is the ultimate goal in the short term. I really hope, even though we talk about the new norm, this is how we're going to live moving forward, but I really hope things will get better and we can go back to the norm that we are used to. But the main focus should be the cleaning, sanitization, quality of air, and ensuring that properties really take it seriously. That's what I just wanted to add at the end.
And I think we will look at pushing wellness in areas that obviously don't involve contact, such as we've had a healthy eating menu for some years in Como. Still sort of delicious and nutritionally balanced food. So we'll focus more on, you know, that kind of wellness of healthy food, juices, you know, boosting your immune system, you know, and activities that don't involve, as we're talking about, you know, yoga and yoga mats and massage. So just recalibrate the focus of wellness to things that are not contact focused.
That's wonderful. Let's now talk about messaging, and you know, how are you messaging, if you're messaging already, social media, you know, just getting out the message on how healthy, all these wonderful things that you're talking about now, how you're messaging it. I remember when this first happened. I don't know if you saw the ad from Las Vegas. You know, I mean, it was very right at the start. It was a great message on just, you know, we'll be back. We're ready for you. We're getting ready for you. We'll keep you safe. We just want to ask you, because you're also good with social media, obviously. And how are you? What are you doing now, or what are your plans?
On the social media front, we have not yet been focusing on safety. Really, at the end of the day, it's you're going to be safe here, because we're trying to finalize so that we can communicate it. We're trying to finalize really all the steps that we need to take. Should a room be empty for 4 hours, 24 hours, you know, 36 hours? So rather than sending mixed messages, we're just basically sending good thoughts, good ideas on social media. And once we have a good plan of action, where it becomes part of the SOPs and it becomes part of the day-to-day activities that we all need to follow, I think that's the time for us when we can go out and communicate to everyone exactly what we're planning to do. But until then, we just don't want to give too many mixed messages. So we're just trying to stay positive on social media. But once it's done, it will be on our website. It will be in all of our pre-arrival letters and all of our communication with guests.
That goes
We're the same, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm going to say, because we have hotels, in several hotels in New York where it's very bad, Los Angeles, us, Nashville. So the message is being crafted by New York, our corporate headquarters, so it's consistent throughout the brand. And every market has different requirements. So it's like May, everything that we're sending, all the messaging that we're sending now is just positive to keep the guests, keep us top of mind. That's it.
What we've been doing. Oh, sorry.
No, go on.
Ahead.
You first.
Thank you. We, as a roommate, has about 25 hotels, and most of them are in the hard-hit regions. In Spain and Italy, we have about 10 hotels in total. But the big part of our social media messaging these days have been apart from the positive message and reminding the world of beauty of traveling and beauty of staying in hotels and hoping to get back to normal, our properties have been repurposed for and been hosting medical staff, especially in Spain and Italy. And we've been learning as we've been hosting them about the new procedures that we will implement eventually. So this way we were trying to get the message out that we've been hosting the medical staff and working with the government agencies, and those properties are already, if you can call it a COVID-free or let's say compliant in their particular region for being a safe properties, whether it's, as we said, installing the shields at the front desk, the PPE equipment for the staff. So that's been one part of the message. We try to get it out and share it with the world. And the second, as May and Peggy said, it's just sending positive vibes, keeping people positive, and hoping for return of the business.
I think also what some hotels should do, and we did it, is that if we're doing anything that supports the community, like we were involved in a food bank drive, so we did that. So if we're doing anything that supports the community, whether it's residents or the front, hospital workers, that's a good message to communicate. You are involved, that you are helping, and that we're all in it together.
And I think we also need to know.
We're also trying to support local restaurants, what they're doing, so that people know that we're one community, we're all tied together.
And I think we also need guidance from the city and the state, because obviously those of us who are parts of bigger chains, we're developing a global standard for what reopening with COVID is going to mean standard-wise and operation-wise. But obviously that will have to be, that will obviously be tailored to local conditions in each market. And, as everyone's saying, it's too early to say exactly what our standards are going to be. And we also need to know from the city and the state what is going to be mandatory at a city and state level as well, so that we can be compliant with that before we start any messaging.
What we've been doing is just promoting the brand, promoting Miami Beach, just showing the happy scenery, happy things, everything that made us famous, and we still are. We'll get to the scientific things, but right now just enticing our customers.
This is what you've got to look forward to.
Yes. We'll make sure you're safe, but we want to get you.
Yeah. And I think there needs to be a certain amount of that. People are stuck at home, they're in lockdown. I think at this point we need to give them dreams and hope. We can talk about the practicalities later.
Okay, I have a couple of questions from the audience.
Yeah.
So I'll just, the first one is, since most hotels have limited storage space, where do you plan to store all of the furniture and equipment that you plan to move out of the common areas? Do you have sufficient space on site, or do you have to rent off-site storage? I would think you all have to rent off-site storage, but please feel free to answer the question.
Well, that's an easy answer for us. We have a basement, which is unusual in Florida.
Oh my gosh, that's great.
That's a basement, actually.
So
it was probably used for something else back in the 30s and 40s. When did you open the 50s?
We've been cleaning out all of our existing storage, and in preparation, getting rid of anything superfluous, and then we'll try to store it on site, possibly using some rooms as well, as we don't anticipate to be full.
We won't be renting storage.
I have warehouses, so I have a luxury of having warehouses at my disposal, so I can.
Oh, really? Good for you.
South Beach Group, they're your own country, right? You have everything. So maybe they can use your storage too, right?
Yeah,
Chris, maybe you can rent me some storage.
I could. Call me.
Friends and family rate.
For a very low price.
And then has anyone planned on, and I think we kind of covered this, but you can maybe give detail, because I think the messaging for our guests inside the hotels is really, can be so creative, but have you planned on message cards that housekeeping can leave after the room has been cleaned, letting guests know what's been done to keep them safe? And this may create an extra measure of comfort, which I think in anyone.
Our corporate office is working on that now for Dream Hotels. So all that is in the works, including logoed PPE. So we'll see.
Same with us. It'll be part of the signage program that will be placed throughout. It'll just be more copy of the standards that are in place.
Yeah.
And also for those, maybe for those properties that have a TV system that you can message through, maybe the welcome, now the new welcome, it's everything that you have done to your room as part of the standards and the guide.
Great idea.
We're doing it on IPTV now. And we won't have any paper or anything like that in the room. So all those standards will be communicated to them at reservations level, at confirmation level, and be available on the IPTV. But we won't have a physical card in the room because it's another touch point.
Yeah, we're not planning on putting any physical cards either.
No, it'll be part of the signage program.
Yeah.
The next question is, I would love to hear how the panelists are creatively thinking about ways to offer the guests something different in this new post-COVID time. Private tours, special access, more virtual personal contact via phone.
Well, for us, it's a little bit more difficult, I think, than the other boutique hotels on the beach because we have good old-fashioned keys, even though the doors are hurricane-proof. So for us, it's very hard to do check-in that way. So we're just gonna have to make sure the guests are comfortable that every room key has been disinfected and perhaps in a little plastic bag or.
But you could give them a little bottle of spray sanitizer and a packet so they can do it themselves.
Well, that too, yeah, we thought about that as well. But.
And listen, we're gonna have hand sanitizing stations.
There's gonna be wipes everywhere.
Every 10 steps, there's gonna be something for our customers. So.
And don't forget about champagne.
Yeah, but you'll be pouring your own.
And soap and water. Soap and water is one of the best ways.
Yeah,
to
exactly.
mitigate.
So we're converting our water fountain. We've got an old water fountain which is protected by the preservation board, but we're going to convert it into a sink. It's in the lobby so people can wash their hands with soap and water in it.
That's great.
No, I have one more, which I think is a good question that we haven't covered. For those properties that offer F&B, are you revisiting your menus and eliminating buffets, family-style service?
Yes.
Yes. So we'll eliminate buffet. We're expecting probably that guests will pour their own drinks. You know, you'll give them their bottle of wine or water in their glass and they'll pour and fill up themselves. By the pool, we'll do pre-mixed cocktails. If you order a spirit and mixer, we'd give you a little mini one from the mini bar with a closed bottle of mixer, and you will basically mix your own drink. All food will be portioned. There won't and no buffets at all. So we'll basically minimize who is in contact with both your food and drink and who is in contact with you during the F&B experience.
Yeah, well, we basically eliminated the buffet breakfast, so that's gone. Yeah.
So in closing, is there anything that you would like to add for the audience?
This too shall pass.
And we will be ready.
Listen, a lot of us have been participating with a lot of different municipalities, from state level, county level, down to our city level. This will pass. May just said it exactly right. All that we're talking about, everybody, it's going to be a few months. If you're listening to all the news, a vaccine is coming soon, and I think sooner than later. And all of this, we hope, can be behind us very soon. So whatever we're doing, the beauty of this is, and I'm going to throw this out there, is we're going to be reopening at our slowest time of the year.
Yeah.
The slowest time of the year. I mean, it happened at our worst time at mid-March, but we're past that. So we'll confront this. Whatever we have to do for June, July, August, and hopefully that the experts and the scientists and all the medical researchers, that this is coming through and this will be behind us by year's end, because Q4 is looking strong.
Chris, from your lips.
So
Hopefully.
I hope you're right.
I think at the end of the day, it really will depend on guests and what their expectations are going to be in the long term. People are not going to forget this COVID pandemic. So even though we may have a vaccine, I think hotel guests may continue to expect the extra measures we're taking. So
Some,
100%.
some things will definitely stay.
Correct.
Definitely.
Right.
I
But
think
the-
that some things will go back, but a lot of, you know, hotels have a reputation for, you know, not being cleaned very well, certainly guest rooms in between stays. So I think all the cleanliness and sanitization stuff will stay. But I think also a lot of things will go back because people remember, but we also have a tendency to forget quite quickly.
No, we're going to take a lot of great advice, and some of these protocols will remain, but the temperature of the general public is they want to get out of their house and they want to travel and they want to get back to normal.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Don't we all?
We sure do.
I'm ready to go somewhere.
So quick question, which you don't know about, but I'm just thinking about it. So when you all have an opportunity to take a little trip, right? Where would you go first?
the gym.
Yeah, downtown, Brickell. It depends when the lockdown finishes, but if it's in the next couple of months, probably like, you know, well, somewhere in the US, probably like Massachusetts or sort of Northeast, somewhere up there, providing that COVID's under control.
Maine is better.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm desperate to explore that area, and obviously it's going to be the season. So
I think
go and support those hotels.
I would love to go back to the Canadian Rockies. You're out in the
Oh,
wilderness.
yeah, that sounds nice.
You can social
You said, I'm sold.
Yasser, or
I think that for me, the biggest wish is to convert everything that has been virtual up to now into actually physical again. I mean, we're Miamians. We're about touching people, kissing people, hugging people. And nevertheless, friends and family, even our guests, we receive it with a handshake and we say goodbye with a kiss and a hug. So the virtual I'd rather to go with the all physical. So I'm looking forward to getting that part that we just lost.
I agree with Yasser. Just to go to our favorite spots in our community first, in a favorite restaurant or bar. Happy hours shouldn't be virtual. It's actually a very bad thing when it's virtual happy hour. So we're looking forward for that. And then let's see, it's limitless. So
Europe. I want to go on my European vacation.
absolutely, Spain.
Chris, you did enough traveling before this happened.
I know, but I got that urge. So I miss traveling to Europe.
And Nancy, what about you? I know you go to Maine too, your Maine trip, right?
Well, I'm supposed to be in Amsterdam this morning
Oh.
doing tulips.
Oh, Nancy, let's go.
But I'm here, but no, I'm headed for my granddaughter just as fast as I possibly can.
Well, listen, this was delightful. It's so refreshing to talk with all of you. And, you know, I think everybody knows that our hotel industry is really ready. We're very embracing, and we want to take care of our visitors and our employees, our guests. And that's why we're all in this industry. So I did want to share with you that our next event will be next week, a week from today on the 7th at 11 a.m. to the audience. How hotels are anticipating to modify design now. So stay tuned. Thank you all very, very much. We appreciate you, and just keep us apprised of anything that we can do to help you, and looking forward to opening our hotels. Our boutique hotels are going to be very, very, very ready just by this conversation.
Yes.
Thank you, Peggy, Wendy.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for the
Thank you,
invitation.
Wendy.
Everybody
Thank you.
here on the panel, but thank you,
Take care.
thank you audience members for joining today, because there's a lot. So that was
Much
nice.
appreciated, yes.
Yes.
Stay safe, everybody.
Stay safe.
Stay safe.
Bye.
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 Bye.